Good morning, guys. How are you doing? We are back, the Space Junkie Takeover. So far, I'll be alone, but David gonna join. I'm Szabi, by the way, and David is going to join me in a second time. He's just in a second, but he's got some family issue at home with the daughter, so he's sorting this out. But he'll be back with us. Okay, so we are back. We have a couple of topics, hopefully with David, to cover that. But before we start, hey ho, we've got a booster roll. So booster 15-2 is has just finished its static fire. We're gonna get into this in more details at some point, but at least now we are entertained. I think it's the second time when we go live, and there is some live activity going at down at Starbase, and I mean some articles, the flight worthy articles, a first or a second stage is being rolled. So that's, I think, pretty lucky. I would like to think so. Okay, before we continue, just a just two things. Some fun stuff I'd like to share with you. Um, Everything all right, John? No, 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 no. Sorry, I was just talking to Jonathan in the background. So the first photo I'd like to show you is a rocket launch, and that's namely Starlink Group 10-22. Let's just show the photo for the people who's watching us, and that's an incredible shot. I think this is worth sharing. SpaceX shared this photograph, so that's the sun and uh, and the Falcon 9 just screaming next to it. It was on my list as well when I was in down at Florida, but sadly I missed the opportunity during that almost 1 month to actually find an opportunity to photograph something similar. But this is just staggering. Anyway, and then the second one is a photo of a New Glenn rocket. That's basically I think that's the inaugural. I don't think I will find the way to actually say this word. The first launch of of New Glenn, and why I'm showing this to you is because this is the 25th anniversary of Blue Origin's existence, and well, hopefully they will go back to to low Earth orbit a couple of more times, because so far they managed to do that once. So yeah, at the moment we are cheering up for Blue Origin, and we just wanted to put into contrast before we continue and show you what's going on in Starbase, that there are companies that's older than SpaceX, and I think they are a little bit far behind. But we are definitely cheering for New Glenn, and hopefully they will do a good job. And as far as I can see, probably David is here. So hi, David.
Hello. Yeah, you are the only one, Sabi. You can see me, but yeah, anyway. Hello, everyone in the chat, and thanks for coming again. So, yeah,
Yep, I did the I
I
did the
returned.
war I did the warm up.
Okay.
So hopefully you just
hmm
need to chip in. So we see the booster all, which is great. And I will dig out in the meantime the actual footage of the static fire, because
hmm
it seems like that this booster just done its job in a spectacular fashion.
Oh, yeah.
That it? Is that it?
Oh, I'm just waiting that we are watching the video, and after it, we can comment.
No, I
Or,
mean you can kick off. We
oh,
don't
okay.
need to
So,
wait. Yeah,
mm.
go on.
So I have to start with the bad news that actually that was the last time that we could see this form as static fire, because as you all know, that's the last time when a V2 or a Block 2 version Starship will be launched. And yeah, of course, I know that there will be one more ship static fire, but that won't be so energetic and so um, cinematic, if I can say that. So yeah, just save this footage because that will be historic in some days. And after it, of course, I mean, after the Flight 11, this launch pad will be demolished and it will be rebuilt in way as the pads 2 right now and in Florida 39A, and I guess the future pads as well. So that's why this kind of construction or design can't be seen anymore after this one. So that's why I encourage everybody that save these photos and footages and videos. But anyway, it was quite kind of a normal static fire. There wasn't any news about, but I'm almost 100% sure that all of the 33 engines worked. Of course,
Hmm.
ignited and worked, and yeah, we can we could see previously these photos, but maybe it won't be boring at
Hmm.
all.
Indeed.
So yeah, they are quite kind of in a rush to prepare on Flight 11. So yeah, as you all know, the Flight 10 wasn't, or it was less than 2 weeks ago. So and they are already finished the static fire with the booster 15-2. So it's quite nice space.
Yeah, indeed. So definitely we are hoping for the construction at the Pad A. Well, not construction, but the that adapter we will make the ship
Mhm.
test possible. Hopefully they're gonna get that done pretty damn quick, and then they can get done hopefully like mid October with Flight 11
Yeah,
ish.
they say, or yeah, the hope was previously, I mean, for example, last week that they could launch Flight 11 in about 4-6 weeks. But I guess it will. I mean, the ship testing will decide it
Hmm.
actually. So after the static fire of the ship 38, will everybody be more clever and it will be more clear or
Absolutely.
clearer how to what we can expect. But yeah, that prediction was about 1.1 and a half month after flight 10, but we will see. So but just one more thing about the ship static fire, that the preparation should be a bit easier and a bit faster as previous time, because that was the first time, I mean, preparation of flight 10, when they had to figure out everything for the first time. They had to build everything for the first time, but now they have the infrastructure, they have these special um, other parts of these redesigned elements, and they have to just build it up,
Yeah,
and
we
after
expect
it they
them.
are ready.
Yeah, yeah. They have now the kind of the know-how, how to fit it, how to
Yeah,
weld it on, how to remove it. So for the very well, second and last time, hopefully they are
yeah.
going to do this much quicker and they're gonna get this done. Okay, cool.
And
So
it,
we
just last sentence, or last yeah. So we or at least I am not sure that that will be a full ignition static fire. So there were rumors about the not so not so let's say smooth, energetic and force things after the static fire of the ship 37, and maybe that was the reason that they had to swap one Raptor engine, and that's why I am not sure
wasn't
that
it
that will
two?
be.
Wasn't it
Pardon?
two engine swap?
At least one, but
At least one, not
yeah,
confirmed. Okay.
yeah, one or two engines they had to swap,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I am not sure that that will be an ignition. So maybe they will do only spin prime test. But anyway, that will be at least one ship test.
Cool, cool, cool. I think for the rest of the stream, we are going to stick with the live camera because this doesn't happen too often that we can actually watch a first stage or any stage roll back to from launch side to the build
Mhm.
side. So I think that's worth staying with that. And occasionally we're gonna interrupt this with some pictures. But we're gonna cover quite a few things because probably let's get done with the test article, and then there were some well, I could say politics, but because we don't do politics, I say this in a spaced terms, politics, because there were some congressional hearings, and we're just gonna speculate about where the program is heading, where the whole Artemis is heading towards, and what can we expect regarding to landing on the moon, or not or and regarding to Florida, what's going on in Florida with the frequent launches of Starship. So we got some juicy information for you. So definitely stick with us. Okay, so let's just show Jonathan. I don't know if you can do split screen so people can watch. So yeah, take your time, whichever it works. Sorry, guys, you don't hear Jonathan in the back channel, but we do, and we just sometimes communicate perfect. Thank you very much. So let's just cover this new test article
Mhm.
18.3 because
Right.
test articles are very important in terms of the Starship program. I think they don't really grab the imagination of the public, mostly because they just look like something cobbled together, but they actually do very important tests in terms of stress and what they can simulate certain conditions during the flight, during the ascent, those forces, replicating those forces, and this is how they can make sure that certain design is actually working, not just down at the test pad, but actually during the flight. So this
Mhm.
is now this is now the top of the booster, right?
Yeah, so the forward section of the new generation booster, with
Mm-hmm.
of course with the most important and maybe the most exciting part, the hot staging ring, which is already integrated to the hull, so it's not anymore a separated element of the whole Starship. So maybe that will be the one of the most important and most tricky part, how it can withstand the forces, and that's why they built this test article to not to destroy an entire booster if it's not needed or
Mm-hmm.
if it's not necessary. So that will be the one big question mark, how this new design will work or not work. And of course there will be another section, so actually this test article, if I'm correct, it has another part in a common dome section.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe do we have another photo about it with the two
What
separated?
what about it? Sorry, I only
So
have this one. Yep.
okay, so yeah, I will search for it later. So there is a common dome section, and both of it was staged in front of the Mega Bay one. So I'm not sure if they were moved to the Mega Bay one already to weld it together. But yeah,
Le-
that's the main part of the news test article for sure.
mhm.
And we don't know yet how or what kind of tests they have to withstand. But I guess that will be this structural stand test. I mean, there will be this kind of cage where currently the B 18.1 is standing. So there are some special, yeah. I would say I would use this cage cage word, because these are cages with special
Is this the
test
one?
articles. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the
Mm-hmm.
common dome
Cool, cool,
section.
cool, cool, cool.
And so maybe there is a new cage which was built exactly for these kind of tests to this new test article, or they can use the currently already existing cage. But yeah, we have to wait, and we will be we will have more information maybe in a couple of weeks. But what is for sure that until this test article is not finished with the tests, the booster 18, which will be the first full uh, full new version booster or super heavy first stage, it won't be stacked entirely, because until they don't have any data, at least ground data, they won't finish the booster, because maybe that will be just unnecessary work and working hours. So firstly, they have to test this test article, I guess, more time, and then they will figure out how to redesign if something is needed, or they can move on with the construction of the boosters. So that's why it seems to be a bit slowly, where until the booster 18 itself will be ready.
Okay.
And just one more interesting part, maybe not everyone noticed, then actually the grid fins or the actuators will be inside of the methane tank. So it's kind of tricky or interesting part. And to be honest, because I am not an engineer, I can't see the logic behind it. But they had this decision to move it a bit under the forward dome, because currently the V2 versions have the hot staging ring. Under it they have the actuators, and just under it starts the methane tank. But now with the redesigned booster version, actually this forward dome, what we can see, that's the methane top dome. I mean the methane tank forward dome, and everything under it, it's actually a tank inside. So that means that the actuators will be somehow there will be a housing, or I don't know how to say, maybe a dock house or something like that.
It will be
for the
nested.
actuators.
It will be nested into the tank somehow. We
Yeah,
don't know
so that
exactly
will be
how.
kind of interesting. Of course, we won't see how they have figured out, but yeah, it's kind of interesting
It seems like they
solution.
did. Yeah, they have the solution.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's not waste any more time on this topic. It's important, but definitely to a certain extent. Okay.
Yeah, that was for me, I know.
So I think the very important bit. Let's just focus on flight 11. So flight 11 is coming up hopefully soon, like in, well, over a month's time at least, depending on how the
Around in
static
October, yeah.
depending on how the static fire gonna go and how quickly they can prepare the seconds, because it looks like we can say that booster is ready for flight.
Yeah.
And most likely that's gonna be, well, almost for sure that's gonna be the booster's last flight. So this is gonna be the second time they are reflying an already flown booster, which is amazing. That's we are not too far down in the line. So this is now the 11th flight, and this is gonna be the second time they are gonna reflying a booster. Not too long ago, flight 5, the question was whether they can even catch a booster, and now they're gonna refly. And obviously the media never misses the chance to bash SpaceX for actually losing the booster again, which is weird. They state in front of before the flights that they're not even going to attempt to catch it, and they always try to portray this then as a failure, but it's not. It's actually they are testing the hell out of it, and they trying to push them to the limits. But anyway, we covered that bit. So once flight 11 is done, then they're gonna finally move on to the V3 version, the third generation of the starships. And I think we cannot stress enough that everybody has mega high hopes regarding to that.
Yeah, so just one sentence again about the booster 15, that there is no plan, or at least we couldn't see any plan if it will be caught or not, but I wouldn't be surprised if not, because why? So they would just risk everything. But I know that will be the last flight with this infrastructure. But
Some
just for
bozos are saying this is the way to demolish Pede, but that's
yeah, maybe that's a way. But maybe just for fun,
maybe not.
they will catch the booster. But it's not necessary. Maybe they will test again a new angle of attack, for example, or something like that. So yeah, we will see, because at least SpaceX will share some plan about Flight 11 just prior to the flight. So we have to wait until that time. All
So
right.
V3, that's what we were. You just went
Yeah,
back
V3.
to yeah. So we would yeah. So I was talking about V3 that is
Okay.
coming and it's highly anticipated.
Yeah, and hopefully it will have a better start compared to V2. So there will be some changes, of course, outside and inside as well. I don't know how long shall we talk about them, these redesign things
Just
or
mentioning, I
improvements.
just gave you the opportunity if you want to say anything about it, but if you don't want to, then we can move on.
Actually, I guess we have covered it previously, so
Yeah, yeah,
I
okay.
don't want to waste any more time.
No, no, no. I just wanted to, because probably we have some new viewers, and definitely it's always important to stress out that this is a completely new design. There are some new changes. Some of them was already covered regarding to test article or test tank 18-3 or point 3, sorry. But this is gonna be hopefully going to have less problems than the V2. So hopefully they're gonna do the job. We lost yeah, okay. I was just about to say we lost the sight of the booster. It's smashing. It's actually flying on highway 4.
With light
It's
speed, yeah.
like an IndyCar race. Okay, so let's talk about the NASA hearing because that's very important. So Artemis is designed to go to take America back to the moon because as probably if you missed the last couple of decades, U.S. has been to the moon between 1969 and 1972. But there's a new race forming between China and the US, and some, let me say, voices were raised lately regarding to who's gonna win the race and does the US bear any chance to actually go and compete with China? Yeah.
Yeah, but um, as firstly to say, so it's kind of hard to tell which nation is at the first place, which is on the second place, and
Is
why.
it?
Yeah, because yeah, as we all know, China is not so transparent like NASA or even SpaceX,
Mhm.
and of course we knew about some tests not too long ago, even especially in the summers. So there were some kind of important tests from China coming. I mean, the news coming from China about the lander, about the first stage. That's article, but even it was a good forward step. Or stepping forward with the moon rocket, the Long March 10. Yeah, Long March
Mhm.
10. That will be it, and. But there are still some other points we don't have information about. For example, the suite moon suite, how to use or what they will use, and of course we know the architecture, but it's totally different. It couldn't be more different, I guess. So as we all know, the Artemis architecture is kind of um, how to say, help me, Sabi. So it's kind of it has more parts and it's quite difficult.
It's
So
yeah, it's more complicated.
it's more complicated, yes. And China follows the way like Apollo did. So they will use two rockets actually, but only one time. They will use a small lander for 2 taikonauts only for a couple of days. And compared to the Artemis, which goal is to use, of course, the SLS Orion system at least one time. Maybe the Orion capsule will be used more time, but the SLS will be used for one time, that's for sure. But the other big part is the Starship HLS version, so the human landing system, moon lander, if I can say that. And about this architecture, there are some concerns in the Senate, as Szabi has mentioned, because it's kind of tricky and kind of difficult how to refuel it, how to send it to the moon, and of course we know that there will be one demo flight between before the Artemis 3, so actually or the current or the actual moon landing. But still the architecture is very difficult, and to be honest, SpaceX is not there yet, so they have to demonstrate their orbital refueling capability, and it was delayed more time already, and we can be sure that it won't happen this year. But if NASA wants to stick with the plan to land on the moon around middle of 2027, then SpaceX has to do this demo, I mean the orbital refueling demo, around first quarter of 2026, and it's already here, so they don't have too much time. And that's why some concerns were raised about how to beat China even, and the main question is, can they beat still China, or they are the leader already with the preparations?
Yeah, we will actually mention one key figure, because I think Jim Bridenstine is no unfamiliar figure for people who are actually following the, I don't know what was going on in the space community lately. We can go back to full screen because the booster is not visible and probably it's not worth showing just the moonlander. so according to the hearing, Jim Bridenstine was actually, in my opinion, he was raising some really good points. So first of all, as David mentioned, SLS and Orion exists at the moment, and he said that's probably all the good things he can mention. And and after that, he brought up the fact that when Starship was chosen as the primary lander vehicle, then there was no sitting administrator at NASA. So it was chosen at a time when nobody was actually overlooking on behalf of NASA what's going on. That booster is really racing. Damn it.
Hard to follow it.
Exactly. So, and we covered this many times that, yes, if you compare the Chinese lunar program with the US China lunar program, it's way complicated because China is trying to do the job done in a way how America did in the 70s or the end of 60s, early 70s, with completely discarding the rocket itself, and only a tiny commander module will come back, versus America now is trying to build something that will be used at some point for Mars as well. So they're trying to focus on the bigger picture, in my opinion, and build a vehicle, i.e., Starship, that can be refueled, very important, and then being used for other missions, going not just to the moon, but for other places as well. So they are trying to, catch a bigger fish, simply put. And because of that, it's hard. And I can see that on one side, they have this challenge, but on the other side, uh, a lot of people are raising the point that, oh, the US will be beaten by China. And I don't want to downplay the fact that it's important, but is it that important that actually US gonna throw this whole complicated but looking to the future sort of objective just because they want to beat China to get to the moon and using SLS. I mean, they cannot use just SLS. Orion cannot land on the moon, so they definitely need something that will take the US astronauts to the surface of the moon. So yes, it's very complicated because they never transferred cryogenic fuel in low Earth orbit, not in this amount. So there will be a tanker. There will be many launches to refuel the tanker. Then the HLS is being refilled, and then it's going to the moon. So that's a complicated stuff for sure.
Yeah, and one big question mark again, the boiling of the propellant,
Absolutely.
because the HLS Starship will be sent to the moon, and it will be orbiting around more weeks until Orion will be there or will arrive with the astronauts, and that it will loitering actually around the moon, and that will be a big question how they can preserve to boiling everything off, because of course they will need propellant to land on the moon, and of course the ascending phase again to meet Orion. So yeah, and that's why actually it's very important. And this orbital refueling, or refilling or refueling, I don't know which is the better word.
Refueling.
Refueling, thanks. So that will take quite a long time. So that won't be a couple of hours, but maybe a couple of weeks in term. So they have to figure out how to save the fuel, not to boil everything off because of the sunlight, or the sun is just bombarding all the time the Starship hull, and yeah, the boiling is it's a kind of dangerous thing, if I can say that. So
It's not beneficial for sure.
no, absolutely not. And another big question again, even more people are raising this question. Okay, let's say America or NASA will land on the moon in 2027, hooray, or 2028, let's say, and then what? Because there are no plans for any exact moon base. So theoretically, of course, everybody knows and everybody is talking about a moon base, but we can't still see any or read about any exact plan about the moon base. And of course China has the exact plans for the ILRS, so the International Lunar, what
The
are the two other words?
research.
Station. Thank you. Of course, with the main partner Russia, but there are some other partner countries already joining to the party. But the Artemis program hasn't fixed a plan about the moon base. So when they will start to build it, where they will, where around the South Pole, we know that, but that's the only thing we know. And that's why it's kind of strange that everybody is talking about only about Artemis 3, and about the long-term plans are quite silence.
Indeed. Very important, I think, that according to Jim Bridenstine, he thinks that China will beat the US as it stands. That's his opinion. I mean, he's been the administrator of NASA for 4 years, very successful person in that role. So I think he kind of, yeah, points out the elephant in the room. But to be fair, I don't care if that happens. I don't think that will determine that the future. It's yeah, it's so usually they say that you can win the battle but or lose a battle but you can still win the war. So this is just one thing. It doesn't really matter in the great scheme of things. So I don't think it means a lot. What I really like is that Jim Bridenstine emphasized the fact that actually the presence, the constant presence of US astronauts in space is very important. It's not related directly to Starship, but as we know, the current administration is making some plans regarding to commercial space stations that they don't want. They don't plan actually missions that last longer than a month,
Mhm.
and so they plan to have stations where which were going to be inhabited just occasionally for a month long period, and then no direct change and not constant presence on the IS, well, on those stations, not like on the ISS. And he brought up some key areas like researchers in medical field, how important microgravity environment for drug development, and how many new um, diseases they can actually treat with the fact with actually researches that has been conducted on the ISS. And that's another blow to the ISS, oh, sorry, to the US, because he mentions that it's not just the fact that some research has been done or not. 21 countries had the chance to go to the ISS and do research. The latest, actually, we've got some involvement because the Axiom 4 mission took Tibor Kapu to the ISS, a Hungarian astronaut who conducted 25 researches on behalf of the Hungarian government and universities and research facilities. So those people who cannot be partners for NASA anymore, they will find other ways. And let's not forget for 1 second that the Chinese space station is up there and it's constantly
Mm.
habited, and it will be open very soon for international partners. And those international partners, they will go there. If they cannot do this job for with NASA, they will find other partners. So for the US economy, this is key to the presence in space. So I just wanted to bring this issue up because, the whole approach, I can see now that US is focusing so much on human space flight, which is great, but on the other hand, they actually canceling so much science research, and that's, I think, going to hurt the US economy badly if they don't really act their act together.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the basic story behind the scenes, if I can say that there was a policy directive issued by Sean Duffy, who is the acting administrator currently of NASA.
Mm-hmm.
So he issued a directive on the f- um, end of July, and actually it's pulling back almost everything, every positive side of this commercial low Earth orbit development program, which is the program of the helping the new coming parts, I mean the new upcoming stations, which will be commercial space stations built by different companies. So previously there was this goal that they have to secure permanent crewed stations and for NASA and other astronauts, but instead now it's require. I mean, this directive says that it requires stations to support only person crews, only for 1 month stay, and that's why, as Sabi mentioned, it doesn't secure that NASA or let's say America in a whole picture. It's not sure that they will be permanently out there. I mean, on low Earth orbit. So there can be gaps between two missions. So that's why it's a kind of step back. So and most of the people just don't understand why this step back was decided. And because there was a good plan, and that was a good supporting program for the new upcoming commercial space stations. And maybe, to be honest, I don't understand either why this decision was made. So it's not going further. So just, yeah, it's a stepping back,
Mm-hmm.
at
Mm-hmm.
least, I
Yeah.
guess so.
Yep. Okay, and I mean, we can see your questions. We're gonna come back by the end of the show, but there's another topic I wanted to bring in to the conversation because I really like Ellie in space. So she's reporting in an excellent way about regarding to Starship and basically all space related topics. And she had a video about this public hearing regarding to Starship launches from Florida because we talked previously about this topic that soon there will be launches. Well, not like next week, but soon there will be some Starship launches from Cape Canaveral. And on this public hearing, they actually listened up, apart from there was a weird AI voice actually reading some stuff out loud, which was a bit cringy. But apart from that, some residents actually they had like 3 minute slots to express their opinion regarding to how happy or or how unhappy they
Unhappy.
are
Yeah.
yeah about this. So first of all, it's very important to know that it looks like SpaceX just got the permission to actually double its launch capability from Florida. As far as I know, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's the word out.
Mhm.
And on top of this, Starship launches are coming. So that's alone. Falcon 9 launches are relatively loud, and they happen during the early hours, sometimes during nights. And some launches are louder, some launches are, okay, depending on which direction they go and other circumstances. And some people, they actually, when they phoned in, they said that they did some structural sort of checkings regarding to their properties because it can damage a property, I guess, if you are too close, too frequent, too old property. There are many, many, many factors. Luckily, that person said that everything is all right, but it's a factor. Very important that Starship gonna be like 4 times louder than a Falcon 9, and that's really going to cause some problems. So significant noise pollution, especially for elderly. Um, in there are we've seen it this summer that there are so many care homes around Cape Canaveral in that area, Cocoa Beach, Titusville, all around the Space
Mhm.
Coast. There are tons of elderly care houses, and they are definitely going to be affected. Also, beachgoers. So, because a larger area gonna be closed off, Playa Linda Beach, for instance, won't be able to host as often beachgoers than now. So it means that these beachgoers who are going to Cocoa Beach or Playa Linda, they're gonna be forced to go either more north or south, and that's gonna disturb those communities. Also, it was weird to hear, but the nudist community or fair point for the wildlife. So probably they need to migrate turtles from that area
Yeah.
because they might be affected. Also, some people said that they should set up some sort of fund to cover costs like if a window gonna break or the fishing industry. Sometimes some bits falling off. Some people said, which I'm not aware of, but it is just one thing. But when bits falling off, that sometimes damages nets and things like that, and they should cover those damages from the fund that SpaceX will set up. Some people even went that far that actually they should compensate everybody who lives in the
Of
area.
course, yeah, that's the solution.
That's a little bit far-fetched for me, but again, that's just my opinion. So it's very important, I think, this debate, because what is the limit, or is there a limit for Florida for launching this many rockets and at this frequent manner? Because this is going to be ramped up crazy. A lady suggested they should go and find a place which is more away from habited areas. But we know, right, from the fact that the East Coast, or I would say the coastline, is completely built up in America. That's the reason why Starbase happened to be
Mhm.
there where it is right now, because
Yeah.
there aren't many places where they don't disturb wildlife, or they don't disturb humans, or both. So it's a tough question.
And it's near of water.
Well, coastal area, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. While I was listening to it, I have to say that on one hand, I emphasize that it's people's way of life. So if you happen to live there ever, or just you moved there 10, 20, 30 years ago, when the launch frequency wasn't as crazy as now. I mean, I spent a month there and I've seen 10 rocket launches, so it's really crazy. But now it's going higher and higher. And should we just say, well, bad luck, move away? But I know it's people's lives. But on the other hand, for Christ's sake, Starship can make us interplanetary. So for the species to actually enabling for us the capability that we can go to another planet and start off a new, I don't know, society there, and we learn how to live in space and build other colonies. This is a tiny sacrifice,
Hmm.
isn't it?
Yeah, and just one thing to add, that maybe some of the people, or maybe many people, can't digest it because of SpaceX and because of Elon Musk. So if, let's say, NASA would have these plans, these big and enormous plans to have almost every day a launch with Starship kind of rocket, maybe the haters wouldn't be so loud. But maybe that's a plan of a simple company. Maybe don't like they some of the people don't like it very much.
I'm
But maybe
Yeah.
I'm not I'm wrong. But so yeah, the Space Coast was built for NASA at that time.
Mhm.
But currently, because of the commercialization, everybody wants to have a bite from the cake, if it's correct,
Yeah.
or if you know what I mean. And SpaceX has a quite big bite of the whole cake. So maybe that's one factor people don't like. But maybe that's, and I can be totally wrong. So
I don't, to be honest, it's so as I was listening to the actual people, the residents who phoned in, nobody was actually painting a target on SpaceX. So
mhm,
they really were approaching this question in terms of how it's affecting their life. If that would be a company called differently and doing the same thing, that would still be a problem. So it's not a SpaceX specific problem,
mhm,
is the frequency. But
yeah,
but I mean, at some point, to be fair, if I think about it, I was expecting this to happen much earlier, like a
yeah.
decade or 2 decades earlier. Um, I think they wanted to launch shuttles in a much more frequent way. And don't tell me that a shuttle launch was less louder. That was damn
Yeah,
loud.
the SRBs are quite
Exactly, exactly.
quite
So
strong and loud.
not entirely sure that which one is louder, but it's not a race
Yeah.
or a competition. But anyway, it's nice. It's not for us to decide, but it's definitely raising some questions which needs to be dealt with. And yeah, I personally hope that starships are coming Florida very soon. And finally, we can go there and watch a Starship launch because Boca Chica, well, Starbase is actually really hard to approach, really tough area to be, and
Especially from Europe.
exactly. And
Because
I
if
just
somebody lives in Texas, then it's good for him or her.
well, it's still tough, but they are used to, dealing with it. But yeah, for me especially, that seems to be a difficult stuff to deal with.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's some personal stuff. Yeah, just tell us what you think, and yeah, we are quite curious. Let's cover some questions because there
Okay.
were some questions in earlier on. So James was asking. Will Mechazilla stay with the new launch mount constructed, or will the tower be replaced along with the pad?
I think that they won't demolish the tower itself because that would be on one hand too hard and on the other hand too long. Uh, so it
But
would
the
take too
tower is
much
all
time,
right,
and
isn't it?
the tower is right. So even with a higher starship, they can it will fit to the towers because there is no basic, let's say, regulation or something like that that the tower has to be taller than the starship because they can they can refigure the Mechazilla attachment points. So even with a higher
Reconfigure.
starship, they can fit it.
Hmm.
So I guess the chopsticks themselves will be rebuilt because, as you all know, or hopefully all know, SpaceX was redesigning, of course, the chopsticks as well. So there are already a shorter versions for on the Pad 2, or there will be shorter versions on the Pad 2 and in Florida as well. So I guess they will remove it, but the tower itself will be the same one. And of course, the entire OLM will be gone pretty soon. So in demolishing SpaceX is quite good. We could say that we could see it previously. If they have to destroy something, they are good at it.
Hmm.
And the Pad 1 will be redesigned in the way like the Pad 2 currently building up and like the LC39A is building up. So, but of course, it won't be ready until, let's
Anytime
say,
soon.
it's not anytime soon, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, uh,
Um,
there will be some gap between the
there
usage
are
of
some
the Pad 1.
questions. That's why I try to spin it up a bit.
Sorry, okay.
Speed it up.
Shut up.
So no, no, that's fine. Alberto Romei is asking, is Flight 11 going to catch Starship? That was the plan for Flight 8. If Flight 7 was successful, well, we know none of them were, but all we know how that went exactly. No, definitely not. So Starship
So you mean
catch,
the second stage, right?
yeah.
Mm.
So well, I guess. So Starship Catch is not on the plans for at least Flight 13. So we were
Yeah.
actually speculating if the V3 gonna do a relatively successful Flight 12 flight test
Flight
flight.
12 will be the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
third version, yeah, or
And then
V3.
and then if they will be absolutely confident with flying the V3 ship around the Earth, and let's say they get the license for an orbital flight, it's still a big question mark if they ever going. I still believe that even if that's the case, which is highly unlikely, or who knows, but I don't think so, then I think they still gonna perform a golf of whatever, landing. I don't know, is Gulf of America or Gulf
Mm,
of Mexico, but definitely they're gonna land it on water first and see how the ship
yeah.
can do it. I think it's too ambitious to just fly 13 trying
Yeah,
to catch,
even
but it's SpaceX.
even Elon mentioned on X in one of his comments that the first ship catch is expected between flight 13 and 15. So even Elon is not sure that
Yeah,
they will catch or they will attempt to catch on the very first opportunity, because if they want to catch a ship, that means an almost, or let's say 99% orbital flight, and that requires a new launch license, which will take a couple of weeks at least, or maybe month. We don't know. That means that SpaceX can't um, launch Starship until the FAA regulation or the FAA license is there in their hands. So that's why it's hard to tell which will be the first flight they can attempt ship catch, but we can be sure on flight 11 and even on flight 12 that they won't catch it,
yeah,
because there won't be any orbital flight either.
yeah, yep. Um, um, Ninja in the first degree is asking, can someone talk about Dynetics alpaca? Why is it so ignored? Well, first of all, I urge you to stay angry about space.
Space.
So you definitely need to watch Jordan because he's obsessed with Dynetics alpaca. Alpaca. And I never thought I'm gonna say this in this show. The SLS.
And the
Anyway,
HLS.
he is hilarious, but
No, we won't want. We
we
don't want to
love
joke
him.
with him. Yeah,
He is
he's a
amazing.
good guy.
He is amazing. I met him actually once in Milton Keynes in the UK, and he is amazing, right? So I think it's just too much of an old space, and probably the NASA's absent administrator who didn't choose Starship, as we identified it earlier on. They actually, um, I think that's the reason. It's just they just wanted to use something that's reusable, and alpaca is, I don't think it's reusable.
It's not.
Yeah, so I think that's where the truth lies. Yeah, probably if they wanted to do a replica of a, well, almost a replica of an Apollo era moon landing, then probably alpaca could have been the number one choice. But
Mm.
I think they just wanted to build something more robust and more future tuned, and I think that's the pure reason. I like the idea. Alpaca is good, but it came too late by about
Mm.
45, 50 years.
And yeah, it's a bit too heavy and a bit too expensive,
Hmm.
and it's a one-time use.
Yeah, single
Um,
use. Yeah.
it's currently a one-time use architecture. Maybe if they redesign it, maybe they will. It will be reusable, but it's not currently there.
Hmm. Absolutely. Okay. At the moment, the booster is rushing next to the starbase and it's spinning up and it's at the final race. Okay, so that's kind of my English is not that great that I can talk that fast and sort of like a car race commentary or a horse race commentary. But definitely, you know where I'm getting from, where I'm coming from. The booster is racing next to the Star Factory, and it's making the final stint before it's gonna turn onto the build site and going to be taken back to Mega Bay 1.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. So yeah, definitely, it's great to see that that Flight 11 preps are going as expected, and hopefully we're gonna see the ship adapter, the ship 38
Yes,
being rolled out,
that's it.
taking to the launch site, put on the old static fired Probably not as hard as 37 because we know that there was some damage, and then they will roll it back, finish it, and off you go, flight 11. So we will be back before that. In the meantime, make sure you smash the like button. You subscribe to this channel. Please follow the What About It Plus channel because you can rewatch our conversations on that channel, not on this channel. But as you know, Tuesdays, Fridays, the usual episodes are coming, and yeah, just stick with us. We will be back next Monday as well with David, and we're gonna go to our way now.
Let's do it. So thanks
That's
for watching, and we see you next time.
indeed. Look after yourself, guys. Yeah, and we'll be back next week. See you. Have a good week. Bye.
Bye bye.